today's guest said to me, "We can all be champions at what we do, but in different ways." And so, on that, I invited Yie Hahn Hwong onto the Level Up West Coast Swing podcast to discuss growing a West Coast Swing community and the different roles we can all play. So, Han, welcome.
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm a really big fan of the podcast. I've recently went and rewatched the one you did with Maxons.
Oh yeah,
So yeah, that I think Maxons referred one of your videos of him dancing in another podcast.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
watch a lot of them, so I went and
yeah.
rewatched your analysis video. Really cool. So yeah, so yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm really excited to have a nice friendly chat and see where things go.
Yeah, awesome. So I was thinking of the cover of this podcast,
Yeah,
and for those that don't know, I haven't actually. I don't know that I've ever had a full conversation with you before until now.
yeah,
Um, but when we were um, when we were at Asia Open, it's now 2026,
yeah,
but last year you were actually judging the pro-am event. And what was funny is I watched the video and I happened to be dancing with Emma Collier, and
yeah.
you were judging me and you're standing there tapping your leg in time to the music to see that my timing was okay. And and then you walked off and you sort of went around and had a look at some other people, and then you came back and then you're looking at me again, and I'm like, "Am I on time?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm on time." And then you turned down and you looked at the score sheet, and you marked me off, and whatever you marked me, I think you gave me a yes, in fact. Um, but then the minute that you turned away, I went off time. so, so I think I got really, I think I got really lucky. Uh, anyway,
Yeah.
um, yeah, that was
That,
pretty
that's
cool.
that's the name. I mean, I think it's a good practice that you do. Like some of my students tell me that they used to film their comp videos like TikTok style. And then I think it was one of our coaches, I think it was Z or was it Delina, saying that sometimes if you film the other way around, you can capture the judges. And sometimes, and you hit the nail on the head, you're right. You can tell when they're looking at you. And if you look back at the scoring, it kind of gives you a little understanding about why they put you through. Because, it's the name of the game, right? Like a Jack and Jill, the judges only have so much time to look at you, and if,
Yeah,
if they so happen to look at you when you're a bit off, they might not have a chance to come and look at you again. So, yeah, I think consistency is always key for
yeah,
for these kind of
exactly.
scenarios.
I think just while we're on that subject, although that isn't what the podcast is about with timing
Yeah,
and judging and whatever, but while we're on the subject, because you bring that up, I've made it a point of trying to get video of the judges watching me. And so
yeah,
when I rewatch my dances, especially in comps, I will look at myself to see what I'm doing. Then I will rewatch the video and then just watch
mhm,
my follower to see what they are doing.
yeah,
And then I already know what's in my mind from the dance. So then when I watch it, I watch us together as a partnership.
yeah,
And I often see moments that my follower wanted to do something or heard something in the music, but I
mm,
missed missed that within the dance. I was either not
yeah.
looking or something was miscommunicated. So then I will critique myself based on that, but then I will go and watch the judges. And without, um, I had this conversation with Semyon recently, and specifically about swung timing and timing in general. And he was saying to me, Steve, when I watch your videos sometimes, I sent him a video recently, and he said, sometimes I'm looking at it going, hang on, is he on time or am I not hearing it? And then he'll rewatch it. And sometimes I am on time. I'm just, but I've done some syncopation or something. And he kind of questioned himself, but he said, when it's a competition, he will often say, like, we get such a small amount of time that if it feels like it goes off time, sometimes that's enough for him just to say no. And one thing that I found from my competition at Swing Station in 2025 was I had a video of myself dancing with someone. There's a judge right there watching me to judge me in the prelims. Um, and I did this. alternate footwork. It was on time and everything. I've watched it so many times because of this one thing. This judge looked down and then scored me a no, but my footwork was fine. But I could see that it was different in some of the time. Like it wasn't a standard triple step or walk, walk or whatever. It was just a little bit different, different play, but it was all on time. And I realized then, yeah, sometimes because they just have this small window,
Yeah.
if they look at it and it doesn't look right, and this is why when I watch your video of you judging me, you're standing there and I can see you tapping your finger on your leg to the beat to
Yeah.
see, is he on time? What's going on? So, yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's really important. And in fact, after those 2 events this year, I said to myself, "No, I'm not gonna do any of this anymore. I'm not gonna do swung timing on straight rhythm songs. I'm not gonna do even delayed
Mm.
timing because that threw one of my followers off at Swing Station.
Yeah.
Um, I won't do delayed rhythms." And then I just said, I'm just gonna dance what I consider to be easy mode, where I can do it
Yeah.
without thinking or trying or whatever, just what
Yeah.
will
Yeah.
come easily to me. And
Mm.
as soon as I did, and I ended up winning, and I was like, "Why am I trying so hard?" Just relax and just dance.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, I think comps are is the worst place for you to try new things. You always want to try the things that you're easy, comfortable with. Like I been dancing for almost 12 years, and I think it's only in the last 3 years where I got to the point where like delayed rhythms, like syncopations, became comfortable to me. And I think a lot of people take it for granted how much work it needs to be put in to be able to look effortless doing a delayed one because of the weight control, the partnership, making your partner feel like they're comfortable and just executing that movement that looks very simple in a clean and intentional way. I think there's a lot of work that goes into that easy, free flowing movement, right?
yeah,
So yeah, so I think so definitely there's a lot of I mean it's the right mindset to have, like dance what you're comfortable, and if you're comfortable your partner's comfortable, and if you're already making the finals anyway, like I think that's what judges want to see, right? A comfortable, well executed dance that doesn't look like it's forced or uh, off
yeah,
time, or even if it is off time, sometimes it just looks a bit yeah.
yeah. I have this whole video set up of something that I wanna share on YouTube about,
Yeah.
um, because I went through Asia Open and then Swing Station where I was doing swung timing on straight rhythm as well, like, as well as on
Mm.
swung, because that's what I was training. But then when there
Yeah.
was, when my followers did something a little bit out of the ordinary, then I would lose my timing
Mm.
for a couple of seconds,
Yeah, yeah.
because I wasn't able to pay attention to the timing, and it wasn't fully in my body. But at the same time, I there was a Westy discussion of the day where someone had said, I'm doing championship moves in novice, but I'm not getting rewarded, and there's, like, gatekeepers stopping us and whatever. It was pretty funny. But on the West Coast Swing memes, page, everyone just piled on, like, my championship moves, whatever, and clean basics and all the rest. But it was right around that same time, and I just said, "Yeah, just do clean basics, like, why am I worried about doing all this other fancy stuff?"
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, your basics are your basics, right? Like, I think one of the terms we've started to change in our community is it's all rebranding, right? We're all learning for life.
yep,
So what we've found has worked to motivate students is instead of calling it basics, we like to call it fundamentals now. So we
yep,
say, hey, you have good, solid fundamentals. So when you're a new dancer, the fundamental is your straight timing, your left side pass, your sugar push, your underarm turn. Because when you're a newcomer, that's your fundamental. You only know these few patterns.
yep,
So do those few patterns well. And as you progress, as you get better, regardless of WSDC points, what are the new things you are layering on top of your fundamentals? Because if your fundamentals are shaky at the bottom, the big bad wolf can come and just blow your whole house down, right?
yeah,
So having delayed could be part of your fundamentals. Having more texture in your dance is part of your fundamentals. Being very comfortable with energy is part of your fundamentals. I think what makes champions champions is whatever you see are their fundamentals and their brand in motion, and they're just killing it. And for me, that's what differentiates like a solid top tier champion from an all star. It's like they've found their dance, they've found their fundamentals, and they're just dancing versus trying
Yeah.
to like force a move or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. I think you're exactly right.
Yeah,
I keep, as you said that, I get this picture in my head of, a shirt where it has fun in all uppercase and then dementals in
yeah,
lowercase,
yeah,
because it is kind of, it's the baseline. If you can enjoy your fundamentals as well, and there's so
yeah,
much you can do within them,
yeah.
and
And
that's the key. Just on that, I'm gonna give a shameless plug to the Level Up West Coast Swing community right now, because JP and Emma we just
yeah,
launched their workshops, and he talks about setting a smooth baseline.
yeah,
And then he incorporates how he trained to fill out or round out the baseline by starting with the smooth baseline, just doing basics
yeah,
very clean, controlled weight transfer and all the rest. And then he said every fourth one, he would add an element of styling or shaping through a basic, and his
yeah,
partner would do the same. And then as they got familiar with that, every second uh, pattern, he would then do some other kind of shaping or styling to the music. And then what happened is that repetition just built where it literally would become every pattern they can now move and shape, and
mm,
it's all to basics, but it just
yep,
changes the look of the dance. He actually gives some competitive advice, and he says, uh, for a lot of his students, he recommends they do just clean basics for one pattern, and then the next pattern shape, and then the next pattern clean basics. Because he said if the judges see you for that 10-second window, they'll see you do really good walk, walk, triple, triple,
yep.
and then they'll see you shape and style and do something different to add a bit of contrast, and then go back. And so whichever they see, these two patterns that have really good fundamentals, and then one where you're showing a bit of yourself and your musicality, which is good advice, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, structure is a very important part of our dance. I think I attended one workshop by Jesse and Ariel. So they speak of dance like language and communication, right? So,
Yeah,
we are both speaking English in a comp or a social. We are both speaking West Coast Swing. It's a shared language. And if I just speak and throw content at you, I don't think we'll be able to run this podcast, right?
yeah, yeah,
So I think that really changed my approach to the dance. Like it's communication, and we always adjust our communication based on the people we're speaking with. Like we're both native English speakers, but if I was speaking to my friends from Korea or Japan, where they might not be as fluent in English, I'll have to slightly change the way I speak. Don't speak too fast, slow down, and then pace the conversation based on the person I'm speaking with. And that mirrors the same experience when you're dancing with someone new. And I think it's a human connection that we are sharing in that moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's beautifully said. I love the way I've been in a Jesse and Ariel workshop where they've explained their body language curriculum and
Yes.
the
Yes.
language. I'm terrible with things like, I'm just like remembering what the heck a verb is and an adverb and a adjective or whatever. So then when Jesse goes on that, I'm like, I don't remember any of it, but it makes sense in the moment.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I did want to ask you, uh, and have a discussion about community, because
Yeah.
when I reached out to you, you said, "Hey, this is my kind of thing that I'm really focused on in 25 and 26."
Mm,
Um, and I thought it would be good because I'm in a unique position where I am, where
mm,
we have certain things going on within our community, and we're all trying
yeah.
to grow and build it and bring the different schools together. Um,
Mm,
Talked about your vision about growing not only the local scene but also the
Yeah.
regional scene, being the Asia Pacific.
Yeah.
Um, and I've had a look at the My Swing website, and so I would love it if you would share a little bit about My Swing, because
Yeah.
everyone that I know that went there said it was incredible in 2025. I think that was your
Yeah.
first year.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have it again this year with some amazing guests. So could you first just give a shameless plug for My Swing, and invite everyone to attend, but tell us what's going on and what makes it such a great event?
Well, before we go to My Swing, I think you mentioned a lot of things that we want to unpack. So let's put My Swing to the back a bit,
Okay.
because I think it's really a story of how we got there and why we were able to design it in the way that we did. And it goes back to the community, right? Like so uh, let's break it into a few sections first. Let's talk about community, then uh, how you can grow it. Then we can come back to how it results in event, right? Because essentially, My Swing is, I think I alluded to it earlier. It's a very organic. It grew very organically, and it's 100% run by our West Coast Swing Malaysia community. So essentially, I'm just hired. I'm just appointed. I'm a volunteer. It's I'm the as the event director. But all of the profits funds that we get from that goes back into our West Coast Swing Malaysia club. So I'll talk a bit about also how important is it uh, to structure your community. There are a lot of different ways you can structure a community from a business money perspective, because as you grow, money becomes important. You need to pay your instructors, you need to pay for your venues, and you need to think about how your structure enables you to scale. So when we started this podcast, you know, West Coast Swing Malaysia was really, really small. It was just a group of friends who learned off DVDs, and we rented a small little space or went to someone's house, and we were just dancing. And for the first many years, we were really small. Like, I think 30 people. It is a big social for us. In fact, it could be a year end party. Uh, if you ask any of our students today, they'll say, "Oh, but it's a very slow night." But I think it's a real testament to how we approached it, because what we realized is our community, and this and it'll be different for every community. You got to see what your strengths are, right? The people in our community who started weren't dancers. Like, we only started dancing when we were working, and but a lot of us were working in the corporate world, right? We had a lot of people in who worked in sales, marketing, consulting. We even have a CIO who is now a head of DJ, who was really really
Right.
tech savvy. So yeah, that was our strength. That was the people in our community. So if you see our videos when we first started, our students who have been dancing 1-2 years were way better as from a dance perspective. But to our credit, we knew how to do business. So uh, we it started when we saw a meme. It was this meme where at one point all the business leaders, they were dancing on TikTok. So the joke was, for businesses to be successful, they need to learn how to dance now and go
Yeah.
viral on TikTok. But a lot of dancers don't know how to do business. So we realized very early that that was one of the gaps that was preventing our community from growing, because everyone was doing their own thing. There was no shared identity. We had a shared brand, which was West Coast Swing Malaysia, but uh, from an entity perspective, there was none. It was just someone collecting money and running it for fun. So
Yep.
the first thing we decided to do was, okay, let's band together. And I think it's a very common thing when things are all over the place. You might have someone running classes. There could be more than one instructor running classes. There could be more than one social happening. So we decided to gather as a community and make a discussion. Hey, like, hey, what do we want to do? So I think we were really clear that we wanted to come under one banner, the West Coast Swing Malaysia banner, and we wanted to have like one place where the community could go and social dance, because our community was too small to have too many people doing too many things.
Yep.
I won't lie to you, early days were rough. I mean, humans have egos. We have really really senior people trying to discuss the direction and come to alignment. So there were a lot of different structures that we were discussing. Like for example, in Singapore, there's the dance studio structure. So like Z, he's the top dog. He owns the studio. He owns the space. He's champion dancer. He
Yeah.
hires the teacher. So it's a studio, right?
Yeah.
And that wouldn't have worked for us because we don't have a top, like someone who's like clearly driving the community, and we wanted to approach everyone as equals. So we decided to go the route of a dance club. So you know how when you're in school you have a club. So in this case, it was a West Coast Swing club slash community, and the way we structured it and was every year we'll have elections, right? So we have a president, a treasurer, we have a secretary who run the club for that year, and as part of that, we also have what we call subcommittees that look at different things. So for 2026, we have Gus, who's leading our teachers group. So his main focus is how do we improve the way we teach? How do we train new teachers? How do we improve the teaching quality? Running all these kind of surveys and whatnot from a teaching experience perspective. We have some Kia, who's running our DJ community. So we realized that 5 years ago we really hated our socials. Like every now and then it'll be like, oh great, music is great, and a lot of times that's wasn't that great. So they did an amazing job where they approached Koichi and started this whole DJ mentorship program, where we have like DJs who are established mentoring new DJs, and Koichi helping with like doing training and content. So and we actually did a lot of surveys to track the quality of the DJing, and I think 2025 was the best year yet. We could see a good uptick, and we have about a community of over like 12 plus DJs now, and a
Wow.
lot of them have started actually DJing at like some of the regional events. Like we had DJs in Asia Open, in a Festival. So growing DJ quality at scale is really important to us. We have a events committee that does all the small internal J&Js, and I myself run our marketing uh, committee. So basically, I run all of our paid advertisements, our social media, and our main goal is growth, uh, because new students are the pipeline to sustainability. Because like it or not, people will stop dancing. It's a
Yeah.
life, right? Like I'm getting a kid next year. My first child will be born in February. So my wife and I teach, and we'll be out of commission. That's how it is. Another one of our teachers is also getting pregnant. People are getting married. They might have to move to another country for work. They could have health issues. There's a lot of reasons. Or work could get busy. Life gets in the way. So the same 20 people that you start with will not be there at the end of it, right? So we realized that in order to sustain and grow, you always need to have new people coming in.
Yeah.
And it's the same for any business, right? You always want to have new blood, because you will not retain everyone. There will be in the business like churn, right? So the formula is simple. You need to have more new people coming in than people taking a break or leaving. So
Yeah.
that's what we did, and we just concluded our election. So we have a new chairperson coming in, Marilyn, and yeah, and new secretary. So it's a new team coming in for 2026. So we're really excited as a community to push things forward.
It's interesting that you talk about that. I always think of this scripture that comes to my mind that says, "To
Yeah.
him who has more shall be given, but to him
Yeah.
who does not have, even what he has will be taken away."
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
like a principle that's true of everything, right? But
Yeah.
I apply that in my business all the time. I
Yeah.
think if my business is growing and I have clients and customers, I will obtain more
Yeah.
and I keep growing. But
Yeah.
if I don't have clients, I start to lose clients and then they start to diminish. Even what I have will eventually go. Like, you've got to have a mindset that says, "I'm gonna grow," because there's no such thing as finding equilibrium and staying stagnant. You're either
Yeah.
in increase or you're in decline, and it's true for business, it's true for dance schools, and I've seen that in I've been dancing for 5 years, and I've seen, one of the schools, that I go to, the first school that I went to, Dance Amanda. She's such a brilliant teacher. She teaches 3 different styles of dance, um, and she has easily the best retention.
Mm.
Like, her retention is unbelievably good. And that's because of the energy that she brings, the quality, the care
Yeah.
that she gives to her students and her community. But her acquisition was not so great. So you
Yeah.
talked about advertising and things like that. I've helped her with
Mm.
that. And so she acquires and grows more. And she's in the last 2 years, she's had the biggest classes she's ever had.
Yeah.
And
That's
she
good.
still has such great retention. She's such a good, um, just a people person, enthusiastic, encouraging, welcoming. And she's great, and so she kind of ticks both of those boxes, and I've seen one of
Mm.
the other studios, um, really kind of lean into community and put people in place who are mindful about community and stay in
Yeah.
touch, and then people organizing social events with the community, and that community has become really solid. Um,
Mm.
and and in fact, since they invested in a event, in 2024,
Yeah.
that event gave them this stimulus of, like, this enthusiasm of, "Oh, this bigger picture that we're painting, here it is. This is what it looks like when you have this event and people coming and traveling and pros and all the rest." And they've just grown and gone to the next level. But in saying that, there's another school who, again, because exactly what you mentioned, life circumstances of kids, family,
Mm.
all the rest, that school has been in decline. And no matter what we've tried to do, the retention has not been good. And so
Yeah.
even when people are coming in, they're going because it's been a bit inconsistent. It's been a real struggle
Yeah.
for probably the last 12 months. And that's just a circumstance of kind of all these things happening at once with
Mm.
family and kids and injury and people moving on and job changes and other things like that that have happened where the community's just kind of disappeared. It's kind of like fallen apart. A
Mm.
lot of the mainstays that had been there for years just haven't been. And so I think it is a really fine balance, and it's like what's the mindset. And this is one of the things that I wanted to chat to you about, is that you've told us sort of the structure where you are now.
Yeah.
And every region is going to be different. But I'd say, in going back to the early days, I often think, when you said, when you first started, it was you're all learning from DVDs. It's like you're all
Mhm.
enthusiastic, but what do we do? Who's doing what? Who can do what? Um, I was going to ask you about positions in a dance school in an early studio where you
Yeah.
might have the main teachers. But what are the other roles that you would kind of look at and go, "You know what? These are the first things that you wanna put in place." Like,
Yeah.
whether that's someone who's a meet and greet on the front door, um, taking the registrations and that sort of thing, or
Mm.
do you do you want to, engage people to become, like, socially active with all the beginners so that they feel welcome and introduced to the
Mm.
other dancers? How would you, or what would you say to any dance school who's in that early stage, like in the first couple of years? What would be the foundational roles that you would kind of think of putting in place if you had to do it all again?
So the fun thing is I'm doing this with a lot of new communities that are coming on board. So we helped foster a new community in Penang. So they are quite bustling now. It's a different city in Malaysia, and I do like speak with a lot of the new communities coming up all over Asia as well. It's really really exciting times, and one of the things that I like to see is if Asia can become the next Europe, right? Like have a convention almost every other week, massive growth in a lot of cities, and it's really 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 cool to see like communities coming up in Thailand. There's one in Vietnam in Hanoi. There's a new community coming out of Cebu. Indonesia is really growing really, really fast, like in Jakarta, Yogyakarta, Surabaya, and there's a huge community growing in India as well in 4 different cities. So I've been following all of them. I've been reaching out. I've been having some chats and trying to understand where the gaps are. And For me, I think at the very beginning, it's to just start. So a lot of communities don't start because people think they're not ready. They think they don't have enough content, or they're good enough, or they don't have enough pipeline of students. But yeah, if I were to give any advice, is to start. Uh, I'll give you a good example. Coming out of the pandemic, we were decimated. But we decided, as soon as things open, we're gonna start. For the first few months, we had more teachers and students in that ballroom, in our the studio we were renting. But we just started anyway, and we had one of our first early students. Her name is Katie. Shout out to Katie. And for the longest time, she was the only person there, so she's getting like a private almost every week, and it was just us, the
I
teachers.
started right in the COVID pandemic. 3 weeks before lockdown, I
Yeah,
started, and then when I came back, I was one of those
yeah,
people when they reopened one of the schools I was going to, and I was just getting a private lesson with the teachers. It was it was
yeah.
amazing.
And
Yeah,
just start. That's my only
yeah,
advice. And she grew really fast. I mean, the privates help, right? But now she's one of our teachers now, teaching
yeah,
in our community. So that's my first advice. Just go. I think the second, it's a bit more nuanced, because every community will be different. So there's no one size fit, right? It will depend on how many people you have. What are the demographics, and so what I'll first do is, uh, sit down and list out your strengths, right? What are you good at? Because if I were to tell a dancer, hey, do ads, it's not going to help them. They wouldn't know how to do it. It's a skill they
yeah,
don't have. I mean, they could go and learn it. It could be something they can acquire and implement, but it might not be the first thing that they want to do, right? So, what is your strength? I'll give you an example. One of my friends, who started the Penang community, like, what was her strength? Like, she's really good at networking, talking. So she just went to different dance, like bachata, salsa, hip hop. She's like a K-pop hip hop dancer, and began getting people, and soon she had a small core community. And when you form your small core community, I think that's when you can really decide what you want to do, right? Like,
yeah,
what are the strengths of the people in my core, and what are the gaps? So if, let's say, there's a clear gap in acquisition, go and find it. They could come and find you and say, hey, help me with my marketing, or
yeah,
they could take the time and learn it themselves. And I think really that's when you start to form the basis of the culture of what you want to achieve. I feel a lot of studios who lose their way forget, or lose track of what they are, the essence of their community. Uh, it, and usually, as you mentioned, they could get, life gets in the way, and it's not a priority, but the essence is lost, right? So get that essence first, and then decide, like, what you want to do, right? Like, are you a fun going community? Like I can tell you, West Coast Swing Malaysia is a very chill, fun going. We take what we do seriously, but we don't want to get too serious about it, because at the essence, why we come to dance is to have fun, de-stress, and then forget about work. The last thing that our students want is to come here and be stressed in the studio. It will chase everyone away.
yeah.
But we have other schools who pride themselves, like, hey, people who are coming here, they want to get better, they want to grow, they want to do well in competitions. They believe in tough love, So that's a different. I mean, it's not wrong. I mean, in fact, like,
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of people do very well and excel, but that wouldn't work so much in our community, for example.
yeah,
So, in bigger countries where you have a huge pool that works, right? You have, like, you have that choice, and I feel that that's where a community needs to know what they are first, even though you're very small. What are your strengths? Because you could be an all-star moving to, like, Vietnam or Thailand, and the way you would start is different, right? Because you have that pedigree. You want to attract like-minded people, and the strategy could be, I bring in some really high level dancers from Zouk, bachata, and train them up, and we have like a really good core, and then we
yeah,
grow from there. But if you, let's say, you are someone new, like how we started, where it's all DVDs, you can't go that route. But we were strong in other ways, and we knew our gaps, which is why we decided to invest a lot of time, money, and effort in improving our own dancing and our own teaching. And that's where we went from there. But to your point, like, how to start, I think having a core team, or a core group, is really, really important. How you go about acquiring that first core group would really depend on your strength. And don't get me wrong, it'll be really, really tough those few first months or first few years to get those people, to get them to believe in it and invest their time. That's a whole different discussion altogether. But having that core community at the beginning, I think that's the first thing you should do, because if you're alone, it's very tough.
So
So what I've yeah,
something just on that, Han, is
yeah,
I think it's also, something that people get confused is that they think that, "Oh, this is a dance school." So the more accomplished, you know, uh, higher ranked dancers are the ones who can do blah, blah, blah.
mm,
But the reality is in a community is that it's everybody.
yeah,
And, like, I think, because you say, like, you're looking at your strengths, I think, one of the things that I've seen, and I've heard people say this in my travels and different things, um, you're saying just start. Doesn't matter where you're at, just start.
mm, yeah,
And I've seen people who are very good at, say, community building.
yeah,
There's a guy in Perth, who comes to my mind who, in my opinion, he's unfortunately he's just had to move for work, but he's such a great community member, and he
yeah,
would always go around and ask everyone to dance and make them feel included and have fun.
mm,
And he was kind of like a bit goofy, like he'd have these goofy, fun dances, but everyone's just had a big smile on their face and is enjoying it because he was just making it fun. Now
yeah,
he's not the most accomplished or doesn't have the most points or isn't the most, advanced ranking or whatever. But what a valuable asset to the community because
yeah,
he made everyone feel included and welcome and having a good night. And so I often think we sometimes overlook people's ability
yeah,
in other areas because they don't fit this dance school mode or whatever it
mm,
is.
correct.
Um, whereas if you can find, and this is why it brings me back to the very start of this conversation where you said to me, we can all be champions at
Yeah,
something that we're doing. It may not be that we're a champion ranked West Coast swing dancer,
yeah,
but we can be champions at something, and we all bring
yeah,
something as a community member to the table, and finding that is really important.
yeah. So I think goes back to the why you're doing it and the structure. So, like for example, West Coast Swing Malaysia, we never really taught ourselves as a dance school, because I feel that it kind of boxes you into this mindset that we need to give curriculum, but it's so much more than that. So when you're first starting out, if you're like a 1-2 person show, I think dance school has a lot of gravitas and might add a lot of unnecessary pressure to you. So I would say, look at it as, okay, what are you? Are you a community? Are you a club? Are you a social dance outfit? Are you community organizer? What is it that you see yourself as, and be honest about it. Because if you're running a social every week with like one taster class, are you really a school? They might not really fit that narrative, right? And it
Yep.
might confuse your students and or even yourselves. So going back to your identity, I love going back. What's your core? What's your identity? What are you doing? And that is really the recipe it will take for you to scale, because that's what brings people in. It's also what would help you retain it, and it's a great goal, to aim towards something like
Just
have a
on
community.
that,
Yeah,
before we go
yeah,
further, because,
yeah,
you talk about what are you? I
yeah,
think this is because you do marketing as well as myself. I
yeah,
think this is, something that, I think a lot of people miss is they say, "Well, this is what I am, but as a school or whatever, or this is what I wanna be." But
mm,
they often don't link that up with, well, what is it that that you're giving the people, and who is
yeah,
it that you're serving? Like, what
yeah,
do they look like? This might be what
correct.
you want, but you may never have those people to ever fill that
That's
community.
true.
Like,
True.
so then it's like, well, who are you serving and what is it that they want? And does that align with what you want to deliver and what you want to build?
Yeah,
And if it does, then if you don't have that alignment with your audience and the people that are coming to the dance classes or the club or the social club, if that's not what they want, they're going to go somewhere else or they're going to fall off. So it's about
Mm,
like finding who you serve, how you can serve them, and then tailoring what you do. And if that aligns with what you're trying to build, then that's the match made in heaven.
yeah,
But too often I find like there's people saying, well, we want to do this. And it's like, that's great, but nobody wants to come.
yeah,
There's no market for that, or the market is so small it's not sustainable.
correct.
And
And
then some people are like, "Well, I don't wanna do this either," even though there's a big audience, and it's like, that's okay too. If you don't wanna do it, don't do it.
And
Um,
and 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 you hit the nail on the head, right? Like, for me, I think the biggest competitors or is time, like time spent other places, right? Like, I think in 2025, the biggest competitor to West Coast Swing wasn't other dance styles, it's pickleball. It's like, I don't know in Australia, but in Malaysia, it's a really, really, really big sport at the moment. Like, people really, really excited to pick it
I
up.
only recently heard about pickleball because there's a community on school that's
Yeah.
making hundreds of thousands of dollars teaching people how to play pickleball. I'm like, "What is
Yeah.
this?" It's
It's
not it may be big here, I just don't know about it.
yeah, yeah, it's huge among the Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, because like for us, right, like when we did our market survey, I think our ideal target audience was basically working adults between the ages of 25 to 40 who don't have children, who are looking for something new to do. So either they've moved in from another city, they don't have any, they are trying to look for new friends, activities to fill up, their uh, post work time. So the primary driver was, hey, I want to do something new. So they might have a live event that might have triggered that search for something new. But usually the people coming is, hey, I want to pick up a new hobby, try something, I want to do something. And usually what makes them stay is that third space. If you've heard of that concept of third spaces, you have your family at home, you have your work, and then you have that third space where you do your hobbies, right? So we really capitalized on that. It took us a bit of time to identify that range, because at one point we did have uh, older members coming in, and not to say that we don't want them, but we found that they didn't stay as long because maybe the demographic wasn't within that range. And then I went to we have a huge line dancing community in Malaysia, and I went and visited them. They had like 1,000 people like just line dancing on a Sunday afternoon, and I just realized that for people in that demographic, they prefer their classes to be in the morning, their socials to be in the afternoon, and ours was at night. Like,
Yeah,
starts at 9, ends at 12. So they'll never it doesn't work, right? So
yeah,
if we wanted to have to match that demographic, we would have to change the timing of our classes, which we don't have the capacity to do, which I would love to in the future to be more inclusive. But even things like designing the timing of your classes is important, because for our community, they want to find something fun to do, eat dinner with their friends, and then go social. But if you have a family, that it's not so easy, right? Because then Sunday could be, or Saturday could be family time, it could be church time. So that even by first identifying who your target is, your class timing really matters. So if you're in a city where your your main target is people from above the age of 35, maybe from 35 to 60, and you're having your socials at 9, 10 p.m., it's not going to work.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so I've seen communities who are really, really successful. Like my mom does tango. So what they do is they do tea time socials, and they have like their the community, which has a slightly older demographic, and
yep.
it works for them, but it won't work for us because our students are still asleep at that time. So it
In
really
in,
depends.
yeah, in marketing and business speak, this is called product market fit. And the thing that I think a lot of people miss, with what you've just said is like you've said, well, we identified this age group, we identified people who want that third space, we
Mm,
identified people who wanted XYZ, da 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 da. And so you kind of, as you figure those things out, the best thing that you can do then is you take that and you change the messaging on the website, on your
Yeah.
ads, on your social media so that it says, "Hey, looking for something fun to do or new people to meet," or whatever those triggers were that you mentioned of those
Mm.
people who maybe just moved into the city and they didn't have a friendship group, but they wanted to expand, they wanted to try something different or whatever. That then becomes the messaging, which
Yeah.
then helps bring them in. But when you don't have that and you're just saying, "We're a dance school," yeah, it doesn't resonate enough with people. It's not their
Mm.
motivation isn't, unless they're already a dancer who wants to go to a dance
Yeah.
school. But when you talk about, well, we want these people who don't have kids, not that you'd put that in your ad, you don't
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
kids and you wanna dance or meet new people, but the more that you can define what that is, the
Yeah.
more that
Yeah.
you put it in your messaging, the more likely you're gonna attract those people and
Yeah.
build the right audience of what you're trying to do, and
Yeah.
it sounds simple because we're in marketing, right? And we
Yeah.
think like marketers, but for a lot of people who are listening to this, podcast or who listen to that, they won't make that link and
Yeah.
then just say, "Yeah, this should just be our messaging. Let's just try this."
Correct. So I think how we can simplify this a lot more is going back to what I said earlier. What is your core, right? What is your strength? Uh, Look at the Taiwanese community. I love that example. The founders of the Taiwanese community were really high level street dancers. They did street dance. Yanis is amazing. Wan Yu, that high level salsa dancer. Ting Lu, very high level contemporary dancer. So whether they did it knowingly or not, the way they positioned it, their message, it attracted a lot of people from the street dance scene, and all dancers who are already dancing to join the community. In fact, even today, their Sunday practice is done in an MRT station because
Right.
that's their culture, right? And it
Yeah.
grew from there. So they position the classes based on their strengths, and their messaging was very different from how we would message it. They would say, "Hey, come and master." They did master classes with like Z and Delina, with Hee Jong from Korea. They market it very like dancer style, and that works for them. So if I were to give an advice to anyone who does not have a marketing background, go back to your strength. Like if you are creating a community, market it as a community. Yeah.
Play to your strengths and play to, um and I also like, the fact that you say, every community is gonna be different because it's
Yeah.
from the people that are there and the skills
Mm.
that they have. I think about I'm one of these people that so I'm gonna say this, like, from a
Yeah.
selfish point of view. For me, I wanted to see the community grow because I wanted more people to dance with. And so
Mm.
I started to say to the dance teachers, "Hey, are you advertising? Like, what what are you doing? How
Yeah.
are you
Yeah.
getting new people in?" Because that's my strength. It's what I do. That's what my
Mm.
business does, and I could see that I can help there. And so
Yeah.
it's one little skill set that I was able to say, "You know what? I
Yep.
can help you do this part," and they don't have a clue of how it's done. I just do it, and then they get new students. And so, um, that's sort of just one way a community member can look and see what's
Mm.
going on. And if you have that, I kind of want to say this not only from the role of the leaders because it's very hard. I think I run Level Up locally, but at the
Yep.
moment it's small, and I have a vision for this. It's different, and it facilitates a certain need in our local community.
Yep.
It's not another dance school or regular thing because we already have that in place.
Yep.
The whole goal of Level Up, for me, we have 5 different schools, and they don't dance together. And
Mm.
so the whole idea of Level Up is, like, we'll create a space where we all come together, we all grow together, we
Yep.
all social dance together, and then we go back to our schools and
Yep.
take that with us and enhance the community. But
Yep.
ultimately, I wanna see one community, but that's as a leader of, say, Level Up, I think I often feel like, "Man, can I just keep asking people to do more favors for me?" Like it's hard, right? Because you're
Yep.
building it I'm not making money from it, it's just, this is what I wanna do in the community to help.
Yep.
Um, and I think as a community member, if you see that, if you have a skill set and you see an opportunity to help the school, Make yourself available. Go and say to the teacher, like I mentioned this guy earlier who was just fantastic at getting everyone involved and going straight to the
Mm,
beginners and saying, "Hey, come and dance," and introducing himself and giving them a fun experience. Um, he could have had a crew member shirt on and be part of the welcoming club
yeah,
or whatever that role is. It doesn't even exist, but let's make
yeah,
it because he's amazing at it.
yeah.
This is awesome, and I think there's that two-way street of what can we do as community members,
Mm,
and then what can we do as community leaders.
yeah. So there's lots to unpack there. I think first and foremost, it's not an uncommon problem that exists globally in dance communities. Like it or not, humans are humans. There will always be different opinions, different thoughts on how to do things. And I've seen this everywhere, right? There are like, certain cities where there are like 5 or even 10 different teachers,
Yeah,
especially in the US, right? Or it could even be a smaller community that is just fractured. Like I've seen that, and that's really sad sometimes because everyone's doing their own thing within that same small geography and cannibalizing each other, right? So I don't think there's one and fast solution to it, but from what I see, change usually happens when everyone can acknowledge that there is a problem and have the want to come together to try to see how they can resolve it. And how that is resolved, I've seen many ways that has worked. Like for example, in the US, what I've seen them do is they've done something like a shared platform to like advertise their classes, events, socials. I think I've seen something done really well in New York. So New York has, if you Google like uh, West Coast Swing in New York, they actually do have like a website with everything that's happening in New York City. So that's really, really helpful as a visitor. Like I went to New York, I knew where to take classes, I knew where to go for socials. So that could be one way. I've seen something done really successfully in Japan, where they actually have the Japanese Swing Dance Association. Not It's like Lindy more on that side, but
yeah,
basically, it's huge in Japan, right? Lindy Hop. So all of the people came together and formed an association. That was one way they did it.
yeah,
I've seen other communities try to work together for an event. So I've seen Japan try that approach. I think they did something similar in Melbourne as well, where you have different schools and they have an anchor event that everyone works together. So there is no one right way, but I think everyone needs to understand that, hey, let's do something together. And how do we grow the wider community? But there needs to be that one and acknowledgement first for that to happen. And
yeah,
that's what happened for us as well, because we used to have different teachers doing everything. We had that one, we set aside ego, came together and say, hey, look, what can we do? And we decided to combine under the West Coast Swing Malaysia umbrella and form it as a dance club. So, but what worked for us might not work for everyone. But essentially, yeah, it always
yeah.
goes back to
I
depends.
I think that's really good advice too, and I think also everyone has their differences, like you say,
Yeah.
and there's also shared history that for
Mm,
example, in my local area, there's 5 different schools, and
yeah.
there's different perspectives. They were trained by different people who have
Yeah.
different ideas, from like some are US based, some are European based.
Yeah.
Um, there's also people who were partners, like romantic partners, who then split up, and
Mm,
that caused conflict and that sort of thing. And so there's just real life situations that have happened. Um,
yeah.
but I think the thing that I've noticed is along the lines of what you've said is like, what's the commonalities between these groups?
Yep.
Like, what is it that they all agree on? And so that's kind of the thing. I've thought about this for a long time. Is like, well,
Mm,
the common thing that they all agree on is that we want to grow the community. Like, the people who are doing this as a job want to grow their own business, which is
yeah.
fine. That should be their goal. But actually, you can grow your own business as well as grow the community as a whole, which ultimately adds to your business in the long term, because the more people dancing, that
Yeah.
allows you to bring in pros, allows you to host events, all the things, and it financially makes sense then. And
Mm.
so what I've seen in the last 2 years is that all the schools are now on board with what Level Up is doing, bringing the community
Yeah.
under one roof. Doesn't matter where you come from. We always make a point of saying, like, whenever we teach something, it's like, "Hey, you might be taught this differently at your local school, and that's okay." Like, we're not
Yeah.
saying this is the way, just learn it, and if you like it, great. If you don't like it, don't worry about it.
Mm.
But just enjoy today and then go away, and we've started to have some success there, but I think it's about over the last 2 years, we've seen all of those different dance schools say, "You know what? The number one thing that we all want is we want our students to grow and enjoy it, and
Yeah.
we want the community to come first." And if that ticks that box, the trickle down effect is that ultimately their business improves, um, and their local classes improve because people are more enthusiastic and all the rest. I think where people get stuck sometimes is because that threatens maybe their livelihood or their retention or
Mm.
their students or whatever, and they get concerned about that. But
Yeah.
that's business too. And this is a
Correct.
thing that I find interesting with the dance community. In when you have people who aren't business owners, I'll launch a new marketing campaign for my business, and within 6 months, my competitors have taken it. Like, if it's successful and that's good, they're now using it. And so
Yeah.
part of what I have to do is evolve, and
Mm.
that's hard. But once
Yeah.
you understand that that's the game, then you
Yep.
just have a different mindset about it and say, okay, a dance school opens and this is what they offer. Well, how are we different?
Yep.
And that point of differentiation is often enough. Like, we have this community, or we have these guest
Mm.
teachers, or we have this social on this night, or whatever. Um, those little points of difference are enough to grow your own community if you just
And
put that out there.
and that's a perfect segue to what we were discussing earlier about us being champions in different forms and fields, because every community will reach a point where I'm getting all these new people, then you've hit the max. There's
Yeah,
only so much classes two people can teach. I mean,
yeah,
you could, but there is an upper limit, and there's only so many days in a week, right? So, for example, for our community, we teach on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And the reason why we design it that way is after every class, we always want to have a practice or social after, because we recognize that not everyone can make Saturdays, not everyone can make weekdays. So in fact, we have a pretty different crowd, like the weekend crowd and the weekday crowd, depending on their availabilities. And there's only so much time that we can squeeze in, right? So we realized really quickly and early on that we needed to have a space that can teach two classes at the same time. So that means we could have a level one class going on and a higher level class going on at the same time. And the max we could do is teach two classes on like, so basically like two slots, which is four classes before you have like the practice at the end, right? So that's already from a logistics and time perspective a limiting factor.
yep,
So we had to find a place that could do two classes, and, and not have the sound penetrate both sides, and we need to have enough teachers to be able to sustain that. So when we work backwards, there's a lot of things we needed to do, right? We need to have enough teachers to do that. We needed to have a space. So uh, what we have done is previously we were renting from like another studio, and we realized that as a dance club we didn't want to have assets, so we didn't want to own. We're a dance club. So what me and a few partners did was we uh, opened up a separate business to provide the space that met all of the requirements of the studio. And our requirements were very simple, like number of hours that West Coast Swing Malaysia needed to rent from us need to at least break even cost, and
yep,
we don't lose money, right? So we had a certain number of hours that we were gunning for, before we decided to pull the trigger. So we needed to have enough students, to have enough hours to justify a move, and that really motivated the scene, right? Because in our old place, you only had one toilet, so it
Right.
was it was like a long queue, right? And then the
Yeah.
aircon was too hot, blah blah blah. So we say, hey, look, as a community, I really want to invest. We want to open up this space, but we need the community to be this size before we do so. And that really galvanized, everyone started calling their friends, and we managed to hit that milestone. We pulled the trigger, and we opened up this beautiful space where they could go and dance, right? So that was what worked for us. And I think Singapore kind of did something similar now. So they used to
Yeah.
be like studio run with the infra. So Singapore opened this new space called Rhythm Room. So the infra is owned by another entity, and then they,
Yeah.
they call upon all the different uh, dance studios to come, like a co-working space but dance kind of thing. So they have like salsa, bachata, West Coast by different schools, but
Yeah.
all hosted in that space. So that worked for us, and maybe that could be something that could work for other communities as well. But yeah, so going back to that, like we decided that we needed this, right? So that's how we justified the move. And to create new teachers, we needed to have obviously a teachers training program, like a whole way of developing a pipeline of teachers to support that. So we consulted like our coaches on how we could build that. We needed to have the space to be able to sustain it. We need to have enough DJs to play music, because if you only have one DJ, they'll burn out really quickly,
Yeah.
or the music quality becomes not so good. And we need to have a good marketing funnel to bring in the students and to ensure that we could continue and grow, right? And one of the things that we learned very quickly is, for culture is the main reason why people stay, but even building culture needs to be sustainable. I give you a very good example. You know, we always tell everyone, hey, you need to dance with new people, right?
Yeah.
New people give back, and you tell everyone, and then they will dance for a bit, and then you have to keep reminding them, right? So that's an example of what I call, it's it's a great it's a great mentality to have. I really believe it. I do also love dancing in new people, but is it sustainable in the long run? Answer is no.
Yeah.
Because if you go back to, like, for example, our ethos is like, hey, dance is a place where you come and de-stress and forget about stuff. The moment you start trying to force people to do it, it becomes a job, and it goes against our initial ethos, right? So we needed to find a way to make that sustainable. Because, like it or not, even I'm equally guilty. Maybe I had a tough day at work, or I'm really really tired, I'm injured, or I might be stuck in my mind working on something in my dance, and I just don't have that mental capacity to dance with every single person in the room. Or if you've grown to a certain, if you have 100 people in your socials, there's no physical way you can dance with everyone. And of course, I've been dancing for 12 years. I want to dance with my friends, and having to mentally split my time every time is not sustainable. So the question goes back to, how do you want to drive that culture? And the answer is always goes back to having a pipeline of new people. Because for someone who is in the door for the first few months, they don't know who is the teacher, or who is the senior, or the all stars, or the advanced dancers. Everyone looks good to them. So someone dancing for 6 months to 1 year or 2 years, to them as a new person, is as good, will give them as good, or perhaps even much more enjoyable dance than a high level teacher. 'Cause they don't know, right? So what we quickly realized is, one of the things that we needed to do to build that culture was essentially form it at the start, and get the new people to carry the torch and pass it forward. So
Yeah.
all the times where we notice where there's always a drop is when we fail to instill it in that new batch, or when numbers drop and there's a lull. Because, like it or not, as humans, we will always form micro communities, micro group of friends. So you always want the new people coming in to have their group, their tribe, their smaller
Yeah.
tribe, and then
Yep.
integrate with the larger tribe, right? So that was one of the things that we found, that new people are the lifeblood. When they come in, set the culture and let it grow. And that was the last pillar that really helped us, break that 50 people barrier. Because if you have all these new people coming in and you don't have the infrastructure or the means to scale, then you'll just be stuck. You'll be a glass ceiling, and you keep asking, why can't we grow? Why can't we grow? But you don't have the fundamentals or the foundation to sustain it. Yeah, and
You
that's
said
why I
something you said something
go
in
ahead.
there about, so, people feeling like they're burnt out or they're coming we all come to a dance class or a dance club
Yeah,
or a dance community for our own reasons. And one of the things that you touched on is like if people feel like they're escaping their job to go to a dance class and all of a sudden they've got another job, then it just feels like work and
yeah,
obligation. There's I had a performance coach a number of years ago, literally 10 years ago now, but he taught me something that I'd never heard in a way that I'd never heard before. And he said, Steve, if you ever are saying these words, and he said, have to, need to, should, gotta, must.
yeah,
And he said, if you say any of those words in your conversation, he said, I want you to have a check. And he said, I
yeah,
want you to check what what are you feeling when you're saying this?
yeah,
Like what's the emotion that's inside you? And so if I say I have to go to this funeral, for
yeah,
example, or I have to go to a wedding, or I have to go
mm,
to a first communion, or I have to go to this meeting, then whenever I'm using that language, it's always from a point of I'm doing this because I'm obligated, not
yeah,
because I'm choosing to be there because I want to be there.
mm,
And so when people say, "Oh, I have to do the front desk tonight at the dance thing,"
yeah,
or "Oh, I've got to teach tonight." As
mm,
soon as they're saying that, it's often tied to some negative emotion.
yeah,
Um, Whereas if they're going, "Oh, I'm teaching tonight,"
yeah,
like it's a totally different mindset. And I think this is important to avoid that burnout and to also be
yeah,
able to continue to do what you love, which is why I often look at people who do things that I'm unable to do. And I'm going to refer back to this other dancer who would dance with all the
yeah,
beginners, for example. I have injuries, right? So I
yeah,
have injuries that prevent me from being on my feet for any long period of time. If I just do a 1 hour class, my feet are killing me just from
yeah,
standing up. Um, so I'll often have some dances and then I'll sit down for a couple of songs just to relieve the pressure so that my
mm.
bursitis and neuroma doesn't flare up, right? And so
Yeah,
I can't do what this guy is doing, but it's
yeah,
really valuable. And if I do it, I'm going to end up in pain. Like
yeah,
that's just the reality. And so in my mind, I'm going to class to fulfill my own needs and like the things that I
yeah,
enjoy. And then I have training partners that I've trained with and people who are say in my competitive level, and we barely get to dance much in the social time. So they kind of take priority, and I kind of look at that and think, yeah, as a community builder, I should be doing this, this, and this. But as soon as I
yeah,
say I should be, it's the wrong motivation,
yeah,
which causes the burnout, which causes the resentment, which causes you to be less motivated. But if you find the people who can meet those needs and you can still do the things that contribute that you love, like I love marketing. So
yeah,
I do marketing for days, like no
yeah.
problem.
Same here.
Yeah, and so it's like just finding those skill sets in the community and tapping into those. I think that's the
Yeah.
most valuable part. And like you say, bringing in new people.
Mm.
There's nothing like fresh people, fresh enthusiasm,
Yeah,
excitement, to change a community and, um, really spur on the enthusiasm for the other
yeah.
community members.
And you really hit the nail on the head. I believe as community leaders, one of we talked about marketing. I think we need to do is HR, right? Talent acquisition. But
Yeah.
yeah, jokes aside, I think it's nurturing that those talents, right? Like we do have a really wonderful DJ community who just love DJ. They're so passionate about it. Like they're down to like using Tidal over Spotify, all the different gear, the methodology and thought process behind DJing. Like for me, I don't really, I don't like DJing. It's something that stresses me out. So we have a wonderful team that's really passionate about doing that. So I
I'm
think
just gonna
it
quickly give a shout out to
yeah.
Lauren, who just DJ'd in Perth at one of my events. Is the
Yeah,
first DJ that I know of in our
yeah,
city, and she loved it, and she said, you know, "Can she do it?" We had Tessa Cunningham come and
yeah,
do some workshops, and we ran a social, and Lauren said, "Hey, can I DJ?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah," and it went really well. Like, she did so well, and, the music, the choices, the vibe of everything, the people staying on
yeah.
the dance floor, it was just really good, and she loved it. So, yeah, shout out to Lauren and every DJ out there who makes a social night
Yeah,
so
I
good.
think, they are really underappreciated. I think, they are really the lifeblood of a community. I just give you an example. Let's say you run a beginner class, and right after you have like a social/practice. The really good DJs know how to level the music so that everyone can have a good time.
Yeah,
At the same time, not making it sound a bit too boring for the high level ones, right? And usually they come later. So I feel that there's a lot of nuances that a DJ can help in building a community, because if the new dancers feel they have a good time during their social or practice, they will stay, right? And if they don't, then they don't. It
yeah,
can really boil down to that. And identifying these talents early on and encouraging them and help letting them contribute is uh, is a way to grow your community. Because if people feel they can't contribute, they'll just become consumers. They'll
yeah,
just consume. They don't. They're not given the chance to add value. So I feel that if we as community leaders want to be add a community that adds value to our members, having more diverse people with different skill sets who can contribute in their own ways, it's a great way to grow. Like, uh, I just give you an example. Like, we have this role in My Swing. We call them the Ls, and all they do is to make sure the pros have a great time, like are well
right.
taken care of. And we've uncovered a lot of talents who usually would, they don't DJ, they don't teach, but they're really good at having these chats and taking care of people, and they're a really, really important part of that whole pro experience of our community. We have a lot of people in tech in our community as well, and we got them to like build our website and do and I and make that more accessible to the general public. Like, I've seen, like, I think it was the Melbourne event when they first started. Their website was a wedding website. It was like, what's happening? And I
Joy,
think someone
with
from the
joy.
community with joy, right? Yeah, it's like that wedding website. And then I think someone from the community was like, I can't take this anymore, and they have a beautiful website now. I think it's one of the best websites for a dance event.
Shout out
Uh,
to Brady and Janine. They spoke to me about that, and I understood their vision, but I'm like, "Oh, man." Yeah, and I just visited it because they're the week after My Swing, and I was, like,
yeah,
looking at it going, "What are these dates?" And the new website so much better. Shout out to Brady and
yeah.
Janine, and,
So,
yeah, I think
so,
also
so
Chris and Jackie are the other Melbourne,
yeah.
teachers there that supported. I think there's another community as well, but I'm forgetting their name, but Chris and Jackie did a wonderful job at Revitalise as well, so,
Yes,
yeah, shout
yes.
out to
Yeah,
them.
we had one of our members go as well. They had a really, really good time. I love the space. It's so beautiful. So yeah, so I think leveraging your talents. I can't build a website. I tried on Wix. It was really ugly, and then one of our members like, "Hey, look, let me help you out," and they made it work.
Yeah,
So yeah, and it goes back to that core, right? If with that core team who sets the foundation, you start to uncover gaps in capabilities. So it's either you pay for an external consultant to do it, or you get more and more students coming in, and eventually someone with that skill would pop up, and they can contribute. And I think the great thing about third spaces is when they feel that they're contributing, they become part of it, and we can grow as a community together. I think a common misconception is the only people who are doing anything are the higher level dancers or teachers. But that's only one small part of what makes a community tick, right? There's so many other things that come together to make it grow.
yeah,
Which
and
is
everyone's valuable. This is why I love that.
yeah,
I literally love that line. You said everyone can be a champion. It's like,
yeah,
yeah, exactly.
and yes,
There's it's, yeah, it's you're losing out if you're only looking at people's
Correct.
danceability or
Yeah,
rankings or whatever. They really don't matter in the community as a whole. Like, it's people
yeah,
are drawn to people. Like, it
yeah,
doesn't matter about titles and all the rest.
and that's true. And I think that's one of the reasons why we designed My Swing the way it is, because it started with community. It was funded by the community, so we are designing and building it for the community. So there's a few areas that or gaps we wanted to tackle within the Asian region. The first is accessibility as an event. So one thing we realized is Malaysia is we are fairly are a low, how to say, we are a cheaper country compared
Yeah,
to some of the more expensive countries out there. So we wanted it to be a place that's affordable for people to come in and fly. And the way we position it is we want it to be an event where you could send your students to experience a West Coast Swing event for the first time and not feel overwhelmed. So I took a lot of inspiration from Mad Jam. If you've ever attended Mad Jam, it's one of the best events that run events from organization perspective as well as from a newcomer track. So they have this newcomer orientation, newcomer briefing that I went and joined in, and I really loved it because uh, a lot of people coming in for their first event, it can be super overwhelming because you're going from a social of 30 and then suddenly it's a ballroom with 400 or 500 people, right? They don't know what to do. They don't know how to go for workshops, audition, how the comps work. It can be really, really stressful. And I've actually experienced this where I've seen students stop dancing because they went to an event, they were so overwhelmed, and, oh my, this is too much for me. I don't want to do it anymore, and they stopped. And that was really heartbreaking for me as a dance,
yeah.
as an organizer, right? So I thought that hey, it'd be great if you have an event that has actually put thought to the newcomer journey, for someone who has attended the event for the first time. So we do have a newcomer track that we purposely put built up and tested with our own students first before they went to overseas events. So the idea is, if you're someone new for the first time, you want to make the experience as great and amazing as possible with workshops tied to your level. You can make friends who are new as well, and you can make connections and with people who are in a similar journey to you as well, and that sticks with you for life. And usually that, in my experience, increases retention, not only for our own students but for other communities who send their members to dance in My Swing. So that's the first thing we wanted to address. Then, of course, the next thing was growing the level of the community. So we have our Gus, who's heading our teachers, really sit down with the pros and discuss with them like, hey, what is needed. And when we even chose the teachers, we decided to hire teachers that we felt were great teachers. And I don't know if you realize that majority of the teaching staff are not only global pros who run the convention circuit, but local pros as well. So, like Robert has his own local class in New York.
Yep.
Larissa and PJ run their own local classes back home. Z and Delina are one of the best local pros, in my opinion. Uh, uh, they bring a very different view of what they bring to the table. And I can hold them accountable because every year we bring back the same pros. So, like, hey, look, like, are we progressing our community versus like come teach one workshop and the event and go home, right?
Yeah.
And the third pillar that we are looking to address in terms of gaps was like we are running a community leader conference for this year. This year it's part of the past, so you don't have to pay anything extra. And it goes back to how do we also nurture different talent pillars as part of a community, because we have a lot of the major bulk of people attending My Swing are new community leaders, new communities, right? So
I
the
love
vision,
that track, by the
yeah,
way, because, that's featured on your website, the,
yeah,
community leader, conference, and I thought and the fact that it's included in your ticket price anyway.
yeah,
I think, my only point of feedback on that
yeah.
would be, uh, it feels like it's to community leaders only, but what we've just discussed is, like, people in the community who wanna see it grow might be
Uh,
able to be
yeah,
active in
yeah.
that
I mean,
because
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, because I think, like, there's a bunch of us just so you know, in Perth, there's a bunch of us going, "Are we going to My Swing this year?" Like, we're all
Yeah,
trying to, like, see, "Can we get there? Can we get there?" And it's
yeah,
like, you know what? If we did go, that would be awesome for us to go to, even though we're not necessarily the studio owners or whatever.
yeah,
It's on our minds to, like, what can we do? What can we do here
mm,
in the environment that we're in, and to
yeah,
overcome some of the challenges, but to continue to help everyone grow,
yeah.
um, as well. But I did want to ask you about that, and I'm glad you brought it up because it was on my list of things that I wanted to chat about.
Yes,
My
yes.
Swing looks amazing, for
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Just the teachers alone, the community. I've watched the videos that have been published from
yeah.
the My Swing comms. Um, I loved, Lauren and Attila had a dance.
Yes, yes,
Actually, I sent you a message about that, when they had this dance, and A Attila did this funny little move, which was a sugar push where you kinda wrap
yes,
Lauren's arms.
yeah.
Yeah, he did that. Well, Lauren was here in October, I think it was, for Go West, and I had a social dance with her, and I did it, and she burst out laughing, went, Attila's moving." I've never tried it until then, but it's pretty funny. Um, it looks like such a great event just from a
Yeah,
normal event point of view, but then the fact that you've got the community leader conference
yeah,
helping people grow the community, and doing all the things that we've been discussing today, like, and
yeah,
probably way more. But not only that, it says on there that it's not just a one and done thing. It's like, no, once you're here and you're in it, we can begin to help you over time to make sure
yeah.
that what you're doing is taking the right steps. So I'm mindful of time,
Mm,
too. But what I would really love it is if you could just give that like a plug as to, like, if people are interested in growing their community,
yeah,
what can they expect out of that? Not just from My Swing as an event, but
yeah.
the leader conference. And what can they also take away from the support, or what's your vision for it?
Yeah. So the reason why we call it community leader is I think there's a lot of misconception that a leader in a community is only someone who teaches, who runs a school. Like everyone can be a leader in their own way, right? Like someone could be really leading the push to create better quality DJs. Like I would say Koichi is one of the the, the prominent DJs who is making a lot of really good changes in the DJ community in the US. Like they have like their DJ guild where they are trading tips, trading different processes, methodologies on DJing for competitions, DJing for socials, sharing their music. So there are a lot of really good best practices on how you can build a great DJ community, how you could build a great teaching community, because we have community of teachers, how you can build a great community of people who are running dance events. It might not even be a big WSTC event. It could be like a small little workshops or small little fun stuff. And there's also a growing community of people who are running the business side, right? Like, uh, they might be running studios, they might be running the marketing, like you and me, or it could even be a separate, like you, like they're just doing marketing for the sake of marketing, or they might have a marketing business and might want to help their local studio. So we have a lot of these different tracks that we're building out for different personas who could be potential leaders in their community and contribute in their own ways. And the idea is first and foremost to share best practices, like what have other communities been doing. And the way I'm structuring a lot of these workshops is I want to make it more back and forth. So you can, it's more two-way rather than one way, and to share ideas and to see how we can grow value together. And my takeaway that I'm hoping to see is at the end is people know where to find help. So I'll give you an example. There are a lot of really good teachers training out there, but a lot of them are not in our time zone. So if we can generate enough interest, could we run a teachers training in Asia Pacific, Australia time, or get them to come and we meet somewhere? We can always figure out how the logistics would work.
Yeah.
Uh, could we have a DJ type training or guild for our DJs locally? It could be, in person or through voice call, but in our time zone. Could we uh, have a marketers guild where we could get together and share knowledge around marketing after the event? So a lot of really cool stuff that we can do. And I think the most important is where to ask help. Like I have a lot of friends from different communities in Asia reach out to me personally and ask, for help. And I come in, I have a chat with them from their marketing, their business, and it really makes me very happy to see the communities growing, right? Because for me, the biggest gap is yes, we have so many communities coming out, like 4 cities in Indonesia, in Philippines, uh, in Thailand, Vietnam, and they're all reaching that stage where, oh shit, we've got a community, but we're stuck. Like
Yeah.
usually the ceiling is for me 30 to 50. Once they hit that 30 to 50, it's really hard to grow. And that's where I really want to spark those ideas. Hey, if you come to My Swing, get some ideas how you can break that ceiling and grow to 100, 200. Because to have 100 people in your social, your community is not 100, it's 2, 300. Because not
Yeah.
everyone's going to come every week,
Yeah.
right? So to grow to like 2, 300 dancers. And if let's say Malaysia has I think the only 2 countries in Southeast Asia at that size are Malaysia and Singapore. So if we can get like Indonesia to that size, we can get Bangkok to that size, Philippines, Thailand,
Australia, don't leave us out.
Australia,
We're right
New
here.
Zealand.
We're
I
right
mean,
here.
Australia. I mean, you guys are the pioneers, right? I think as a community, you're the biggest, but I think it's all over many, many, many different cities. So if all of the different cities in Australia could grow to a certain size, then we can easily be at the size of where Europe is, right? It's just how do we break the scaling challenges that these communities face, and yeah, and if we have a lot of cities at that scale, then the satellite cities will grow as well, and it'll be a
Yeah,
network effect, right? And then everyone can share these practices. So that's my vision for My Swing. I want to be like a small little catalyst that can let things grow. Like, and I would actually prefer if there's more events. Like, there's a huge need for smaller, like, because in Europe, I think the niche that they found is the 2 to 300 size event, and they have a lot of them, versus
yeah,
having like so many mega events. I think like the Asia Open is, in my opinion, one of the best events in the world. We
yeah,
just only need one Asia Open where it pulls all the Americans and the Europeans, and we can experience the world in Asia. Yeah. I don't think any event will replace that, but there is a need for more localized events to inspire the local dancers and give them a
totally
taste of
agree.
of
Mm,
what an international event could be, and dance with people outside of their own bubble, right? So there's a huge gap, I feel, in our region for that. So if each city can grow and sustain their own, then we will have a really, really strong ecosystem. And I think that's where you will see West Coast Swing in Asia really start to burst and grow really fast.
that's exciting.
Yeah. So yeah,
That's
that's
really
why
exciting.
come to My Swing, grow yourself, grow your local community, and we can grow Asia and Asia Pacific together.
Yeah, amazing. On that note, Han, I want to thank you for your time and for your generosity in sharing everything today, and
No
and
worries.
and
It's a
also the
pleasure.
experience, because the years of doing what you've done and the way that you've been able to get the community to actually work as one, set a vision, come together, put differences aside, and actually work together to build what you built. And the success of My Swing, I think, is a testament to that. I think it's just the beginning, like you said,
Yeah.
and everything that you're doing. So amazing work to everyone there, yourself and all the community that's been a part of it. I wish you every success going forward. Um,
Thank you.
Fingers crossed my family vacations this year don't conflict with My Swing and I can actually make it. That
Well,
would be that would be great.
one way to look at it is, why don't you just do your vacation in Malaysia? It's a beautiful
Yeah,
country,
yeah, that may happen.
affordable, and it's great. Flights from Perth, the flights are actually not too bad. Actually, yeah, they are direct flights. We can chat offline, but I think one of the attractions is people come here and do like a little family holiday. One thing that I'm really looking to do, I'm not sure if I'll do it this year or next year, is I'm having a kid of my own. I want to make it as family friendly as possible. So we are looking into like affordable. There's like a nanny platform that you can do. I've seen in the US they have like kids where you can, like, parents of Westies can share babysitting duties. Like, these are stuff in
Yeah,
my mind. to make it more
Adelaide's done a
accessible. Yeah,
creche and
yeah,
revitalised had a creche upstairs as well, where they
correct,
just
correct.
had people sitting there with the kids and all the
Yeah,
rest. It's funny, you'd walk past
because
there and it was like the
yeah,
chaos of the kids
yeah,
and the chaos of the dance the dance
and I
floor.
love it, and and
Yeah,
and I think it's about time because I think West Coast Swing has been in our region for about, I think, more than 15, 16 years. So everyone who started are now having kids, and
yeah.
it'll just progress, right? I think in 20, 30 years, we'll all be in masters. So we'll have a different need
I'm
in the
already there.
community.
So, yeah, yeah,
So
that's
yeah, so more of us will be joining you. We have a huge sophisticated division. In 20
yeah,
years, we have a huge masters division, and
yeah,
that opens up new needs in our community, right? Like
yeah.
there will be a need to have more masters friendly type dancers as the community ages, and
That's when you start to think
eventually,
about a
yeah,
juniors program, and then you
and we'll
rival the US with the juniors
yeah,
program.
correct.
Yeah,
France is doing a great job. I think
yeah,
they are some of the, yeah, one of the best juniors programs outside of the US. I'm really starting to look at all of these things. By the way, like, I'm thinking
yeah,
ahead, like what does the community need? And as business people, I think that's where we want to go, right? Like, where is the need? How can we fill it up? And it's just demographics. It's gonna
yeah,
come. That need's gonna come really, really soon. It's
yep,
whether we, can see the need and provide that value to back to the community.
yeah. This has been awesome. I
Yeah.
thank you very much for
Thank
sharing
you, Steve.
everything with us today. You've been a great guest, and yeah, I look forward to
All right.
catching up with you and having
Thanks.
you judge me again.
Um, let's see. You might be the one judging me the next time around.
Yeah. All right. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.